Body president here at Fresno State. I just want to welcome everybody for being here. Thank you. I want to welcome everybody here from faculty to staff and students, students from other campuses, other student leaders for being here, as well as all of you up here. We really do appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity, our campus in particular, to host you guys here and for you guys to listen to our concerns and what we would like to see out of a new chancellor. The Valley is a very important region. We have a very diverse campus here at Fresno State, where 80% of our students actually stay within our valley and stay within this area after they graduate. So to us, it's really important that you guys came here to listen to us today and give us the opportunity to voice our concerns and our opinions. Again, thank you to everybody that's here and everybody that will speak today and ask for their questions. Feel free to ask whatever you need to. This is a very open campus, and this is a great place for everybody to actually get what they want to say across, right? But let's also be a little professional, right? But thank you everybody for being here. This means a lot to us, and I'll pass this on to President Castro.
Thank you. Thank you, President Hernandez, and welcome to all of you, and a special welcome to our search committee for the 8th Chancellor. I personally wish we weren't doing this today, but the Chancellor's made his decision, and we all, of course, have to respect that. I wanted to reflect a minute on his last visit, where he told the story of the first time that he came to Fresno State as a community college transfer student, prospective transfer student. He drove in his VW Bug with a friend, and they didn't have enough money to stay in a hotel, so they slept in his Bug. And you know how tall the Chancellor is. His legs are outside of one of the windows, and he woke up the next morning full of mosquito bites, which those of us here understand how that can happen after sleeping the night in his car. He came to Fresno State and thrived here, but he also was a student who had to deal with food insecurity. And so that lived experience, along with all the other powerful characteristics that he possessed, I believe made him a much stronger leader for the CSU and such a great leader for Fresno State. He, as an alumnus of our campus, we're so proud to have him as our chancellor. So his legacy will remain for decades ahead. All the things that he's done to support us, and we love and respect him. And this is an opportunity for us to build an even bolder future together. So I want to thank the search committee for being here, and I'm going to turn it over now to the chair, our trustee, Jean Furstenberg. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, President Castro, President Hernandez. Thank you for that welcome and for reflecting on our Chancellor Tim White, who I think we all agree has made remarkable contributions through his leadership of this amazing system and how much it meant to him to be part of this campus. Thank you all for joining us today. As you know, I think the Board of Trustees has the responsibility to appoint the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellors, and the 23 presidents across the system. So you are helping us today to fulfill our awesome responsibility. Sitting with me are members of the Trustee Search Committee, appointed by our chair, Adam Day, and members of the Stakeholders Advisory Committee, appointed by their own constituents, faculty, staff, students. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Jean Picker-Furstenberg. My life has been devoted to supporting the art form of the moving image through preserving the past and training the next generation of visionary storytellers. I personally believe that we communicate best through our story. And it doesn't matter what form you tell that story, but that's really how we touch each other and reach each other and help each other. I was appointed to the board of the California State University in 2016, and I'm deeply grateful to Governor Jerry Brown for doing that, because he has certainly changed my life, and I'm honored to be part of your community. Meet everybody else up here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Taylor. I have the privilege of serving on the Board of Trustees along with Jean. I was appointed to the Board of Trustees by former Governor Brown in 2015. On the trustees, I chaired the Finance Committee for 2 years and currently chair the Educational Policy Committee. I also chair the Investment Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Finance Committee, if you can follow that, for the trustees as well. And given the finance and investment roles, you probably figured out I spent most of my working career in that space. I was an investment banker for 16 plus years, and then retired when that ceased to be any fun on September 15th, 2008, and became the Chief Financial Officer for the University of California system based up in Oakland. And I now run a small grant-making foundation, national foundation. We focus grant-making on student success and career technical education programs.
Cy Abrego, trustee. I was also appointed by Governor Brown. I'm currently the chair of the Government Relations Committee, and formerly the Vice President for Student Affairs at Cal State Fullerton Emeritus, and I love retirement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juan Garcia. I'm the voting student trustee. I am in my 4th year at Cal Poly Pomona. I'm studying political science. Hopefully, we'll more than likely graduating in May, barring anything.
My name is Jeremy Addis Mills. I'm not a trustee. I am the president-elect of the statewide alumni council. So I'm here representing the alumni of the CSU. I'm a graduate of California State University, San Marcos, back in 2007, heavily involved in student government at the time. Statewide student CSSA while I was a student as well. So I've been heavily involved. I just sort of got involved in the Alumni Association after I graduated and just never kind of disconnected myself from the institution itself. So here I am today. I basically run a communications and public relations firm in San Diego, California.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Silke Hewitt. I am the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Chancellor's Office, and I'm truly honored to be part of today's process.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Nakai, Chief of Staff for the Chancellor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Mitchell-Crosley with Isaacson Miller, the search firm that will be supporting the process.
Hi, I'm Carly Davenport. I'm also with Isaacson Miller, the search firm.
Hello.
Hi. There we go. My name's Michael Hendren, and I am I'm the staff rep on the Stakeholders Advisory Committee for the search. I am from Sacramento State, and I am the University Staff Assembly President there. And I work, and this is a great honor for me to be on the search committee with all these fine people. I think this is one of the most important decisions that's going to be made in the CSU system, not only for students or faculty, but also with the staff. And I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Armstrong, president of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in my 9th year. It's great to be here with President Castro, and hello, Mary, First Lady. This is an amazing campus. I was honored to be on the search committee that resulted in President Castro a few years ago. I grew up in Kentucky. My older brother and I were the first in our immediate family to go to college. spent time at NC State. I'm an animal scientist, physiologist, spent some time at Purdue and then Michigan State, and it's great to be in California and part of the CSU. So I'm one of 2 presidents on the Stakeholder Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Wenda Fong, and I am honored and privileged to be a CSU trustee. I've been a trustee for a little more than a year and a half. I am a producer, director, creative executive in the entertainment industry for over 40 years. And for even longer than that, I have been in the forefront working for diversity and inclusion in the entertainment industry, including creating and starting the Creative Diversity Department at the Fox Broadcasting Company.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here in Bulldog territory in the lands of the Chukchansi and other peoples. I'm Robert Collins. I'm a professor of American Indian Studies at San Francisco State University, and I'm vice chair of the statewide academic senate.
Let me introduce a trustee colleague who is here and a great friend, Hugo Morales. Thank you so much for joining us. And also a member of the Stakeholders Committee, Catherine Nelson, who is chair of the Faculty Senate and a very important member of our committee. There have been 6 meetings like this in Sac State, East Bay, Pomona, San Marcos, and at the Chancellor's office. We've tried to get around the state. We know this is a very busy time of year, so it's hard for the students and the faculty, let alone the administrators. We want to hear from you, not only today, but also on our website. You can send us your comments, you can send us your remarks. This is being live streamed, you can watch it again, you can tell your friends and anyone who is interested in hearing from at all of the 6 locations. Let me give you the website address. If you just want to send a comment, you can send it to the Chancellor Search at calstate.edu. That's an email address. And if you want to find out more about the history of the Cal State system, about the position of Chancellor, and also there will be a major survey on this site next week that you can answer questions that we would be interested in listening to you. That website is calstate.edu/chancellor-search. So thank you for coming. We are here to listen. We've got 2 mics. So if you would, line up on both sides and we'll just go.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, it's on. My name's Tom Holyoke. I'm professor of political science here, and I'm also chair of the Academic Senate here. And the Academic Senate at this university, as with all the other campuses, we collectively represent the faculty here. So on behalf of the faculty, welcome to Fresno State, welcome to the San Joaquin Valley, and we hope that, as the last group heard, we'll be leaving the longest impression with you. Having spoken to many of my senators about the sort of things I should emphasize here, unsurprisingly, the single biggest one is we want a chancellor who is a very strong advocate for more money for the CSU. Hardly a surprise. But we want a chancellor who really is advocating for money to bolster the academic affairs side of the university, especially money to increase tenure density, the hiring of more tenure-track faculty out here, and to help us do true nation, maybe even worldwide searches for faculty so that our students can have the very best, most talented faculty on the campuses to learn from with a wide variety of experiences. We also think, and this may be not as comfortable to say, that while we think all of the CSUs certainly need to be able to expand in the number of students they enroll, we think that is particularly true of the CSUs out here in the San Joaquin Valley. Certainly, there's a huge demand out here. This particular university turns away thousands of applicants every single semester. This is also one of the areas of California that we believe is going to be the center of some of the biggest growth in the years to come, and therefore Fresno State and the other San Joaquin Valley CSUs are arguably, I think, deserving of some of the biggest future investments, and we would hope that a chancellor would see that and support us in that. Many of my senators and I also are wondering if we'd like to see a chancellor who might be willing to approach the legislature and the governor about perhaps renegotiating the way that benefits are paid. Certainly, it seems that 5-6 years ago, when changes were made that was put on the university system in itself to pay all employee benefits, that seems to have cut maybe more deeply into the money available to the CSUs than was expected. We were wondering if it would be possible for a new chancellor to maybe renegotiate a return to the old system or another system where faculty and employee benefits are not put in a position where it's competing against all of the other money that is appropriated to the system. We're also very interested in a chancellor who gives as much academic autonomy as possible to the 23 campuses. In the last few years, we've had to deal with some executive orders coming out of the chancellor's office. Executive Order 1100 comes to mind. That was very difficult for us to implement on this campus. It actually forced us to remove from the GE package, our general education package, a course that dealt with both ethnic studies and multicultural international studies. We've found a way to retain that here, but it was a really difficult experience. It did not fit the way we really wanted to do our business here at Fresno State, and we would hope that in the future chancellors would give us as much autonomy as possible to educate our students the way we think it should be done out here. We would also very much like to see a chancellor who does have a PhD. I know it might be possibilities in other directions. We would love to see a PhD. And also a chancellor who at some point, bachelor's degree, master's degree, but has a background on one of the 23 CSU campuses. This would be a good campus, kind of like the last chancellor. And above all, we want a chancellor who always remembers that the relationship between faculty and students is really the heart of what a university is about, and therefore the academic part of the university is the most important, and that the other parts of the university important are in service of the academic mission of the university. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I don't know whether they're applauding for Dr. Holyoke or myself. My name is Joel Montañez Murillo. I'm an attorney. I grew up in the central San Joaquin Valley, graduated from Fowler High School, graduated from California State University, Northridge, attended Fresno State as a visitor student in 1976, and in 1976, fall semester, just before finals, I was called by the Dean of Political Science and told that I could not take my exams for finals because I was a visitor student and could not have 2 semesters here. We are searching at this time for somebody who's ready, willing, able, and exceptionally well qualified to serve as chancellor of this 23 university system and the Maritime Academy. On October 4th, 2012, I was very pleased that the trustees and the governor agreed to appoint Dr. Timothy White as chancellor. He called our organization in my office. We have 11 regions, 9 Latino leaders in each region, and 1 chair. So we are 100 people, 100 leaders. I am the chair. And so the observance of your other meetings has occurred with the public. And so what we are urging is that we look at the student tree. In the state of California, the majority of the people are either of Spanish surname descent or some other diversified body of people. And Dr. White was Argentinian. I like to call myself Latinian. And so I'm probably the only person that will do that. Dr. White took over from Chancellor Reed and began to develop a rapport with the students, with the faculty, with the trustees, and the governor. I personally observed at the trustees' meetings the relationship between Dr. White and Governor Brown. And it was a cordial and productive meeting every time I saw Dr. White doing any work. He was efficient, but most of all, effective in leading this university system. Winnetka Ann Reynolds was the only chancellor who was not a white male. And there are people who are ready, willing, able, and exceptionally well qualified to be chancellor of the system who are not white males. It's okay if we have one, but we have to be mindful of Proposition 209, which says, in part, we may not discriminate against nor prefer anyone on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, legal disability, preference, nationality, and so forth. Is it now time to have a Latinian chancellor? Why not? We have so many that are ready, willing, able, and exceptionally well qualified. Take, for example, Dr. Joseph I. Castro, president of California State University, Fresno. On August 1st, 2013, he took over this campus. It's a great campus. This is the heart of education in the Central San Joaquin Valley. We have UC Merced, and it is a great institution. Stanislaus, Bakersfield, great institutions. However, the Central San Joaquin Valley is very different from the rest of the state. Somehow, we have the highest rates of incarceration of the people who are here. We have to have this university be a drawing, a magnet to people to come to the university instead of going off as is projected for them in the third grade. It is imperative that we have a person like Dr. White, like Dr. Castro, like Trustee Morales, serve us that have the greatest need. Most of the students, as Dr. Timothy White was fond of saying, are first-time college students. And we need to have somebody who understands how to lend a hand and bring them up. And I hope that this search committee understands that we are eager to see somebody who is nothing wrong with being white, nothing wrong with being a male, but now might be the best opportunity for you to draw down into the great well of California and find somebody that will serve us and take the trajectory that Dr. White has created. The trend is clear. He did not raise, but one time, and it was a small amount, the fees on students. And this was a result of a lot of work, as I said, in being able to deal with Governor Brown, the legislature, and the other schools. So I think you have a great task ahead of you. I also believe that confidentiality in the search should continue. We don't want to have a person who is ready, willing, able, and exceptionally well qualified decide not to apply. Because sometimes, as it happens, once people know who the person is, there is a tendency by some people to begin picking on that person's qualifications, viewpoints, interests, and demands. And this is something we want to avoid. So we need to have everybody that is great apply, and for you to have so many riches that it's embarrassing sometimes. Thank you very much for being here at California State University, Fresno. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you make the best choice possible.
Thank you very much.
Hello. My name is Kevin Pearl. I'm a student representative at Fresno State. I'm currently the Vice President of Finance for ASI. And I do have a class to attend, so I'll try and keep mine short and sweet. One of the things that I think would be imperative for the next CSU Chancellor is someone who has a robust understanding of at least a financial background, but also the financial policies and bylaws that are currently in place with the CSU system. I think with a possibility of a looming recession, and as well as the CSU audit that had just occurred, I think someone that can come into the Chancellor's office and show that they know how to talk to media outlets about why certain things are with the CSU system, and someone that can work with CSU systems or CSU campuses about what happened with their audits and why things have to be changed, and just better open communication with every campus about why things are the way they are. With CSU Fresno, there were some, with our personal audit, there were some pass-throughs and some things that went on that we were a little bit confused on. And I think that if a CSU Chancellor, the next one that comes in, could just provide more information and insight on why certain funds had to be passed through the places they had to be passed through now, and why the previous way was incorrect. I think that would help out student governments. It would help out, the foundations, auxiliaries, everyone. And it would create a lot less confusion and make just the whole CSU system more efficient. I do have to go to class, so thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thanks for coming. No problem.
Good morning. Welcome to Fresno State, and my name is Elda Pinzón Perez. My complete name, Elda Lucia Pinzón Vivas de Perez. And I came here for the first time to the United States, to Fresno State as a master's degree student. Then I go back to my home, Colombia, then came back to the United States, and came back to Fresno State as faculty because of the recruitment of a colleague of mine who was my professor. So that's my story. I make a list of 4 things that I think are important in a future chancellor, and I hope this enlightens your decision making. The first one is, I would say it's important to have someone who is willing and knowledgeable of different systems, both systems, the UC system and the CSU system, to create the bridges in the 2 systems and perhaps other sectors of the educational field. Private sector, other sectors, but particularly the CSU and the UC system that has had experience in both systems, because the future of education, the future of health, the future of industries is the cross-collaboration of systems rather than competition, collaboration. So one person who knows that, who has experienced that, and who has been able to develop programs to do that. And the second one is the emphasis Dr. Holyoke talked about how our student population is growing, how many times we are unable to feed all of them in our campus, and that's why a chancellor should look at possibilities to extending to satellite units, to extending to the presence of the university in rural areas to serve the underserved communities, the vulnerable communities. So in light of that, someone who is willing to look at that vision from that perspective and consider that a possibility, and someone who knows that reality, who perhaps has experienced, lived that reality of being in a vulnerable group or being in an economic situation, and that transcends ethnicity, gender, anything like that. It's just related to the experience of knowing the reality of vulnerable populations and being willing to advocate for them. The third one, I did my best 1 hour and a half yesterday. We're in a workshop that I attended from Miss Kathleen Scott. It was a leadership workshop. And in that leadership, I learned something that I will always remember. It says we need to, in the past, this was from a scholar, I don't remember the name of the scholar, but a research scholar who said, in the past, leaders led with power. In the present, leaders lead with brain. And in the futures, leaders will lead with heart. So I think that our chancellor has to be a leader who is bold and bold enough to balance those three components and to apply those three components in the proper way. Power, brain, and heart, very important. And so with that said, I have to leave a little earlier. I invite you to attend an event that is a PH 100. It's a poster presentation from what we have here, a class, mega class. Is 140-something students who prepare teams for posters, and they are dealing with the health issues of the Central Valley. 24, 25 posters presentations in the Henry Madden Library. Everybody is invited at 2, from 2 to 3:15, the opening ceremony at 2. And you can see what we have been able to accomplish thanks to the leadership of Dr. Castro. And we love Mrs. Castro with all our heart, because we all know that behind a great man, there is always a great companion, a great woman. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I also have to catch the same class that Kevin is actually going to right now, so I'll keep it as brief as I can. My name is Hisham Kutab, and today I'll be speaking as a student, but also be speaking as our Vice President of External Affairs for our student government, Elizabeth Rocha Zuniga, who's also in that class right now. So with that in mind, there's a few things that I'd like to keep in mind, for you guys to keep in mind. One of them is that because there's so many different CSUs, the 23 to be exact, and as you all know, there's different personalities with working with large groups. As a result, we want a chancellor who's able to adapt and to be adaptable to any situation. Rather than having one generic rule that has to be adopted to every single CSU, there might be overlapping areas, but also for each CSU to be able to adjust for its student body, as there's a different personality for each. Also, we want to make sure that as here in the Central Valley, it's commonly known as the middle child effect, that we are the overlooked ones. We want to make sure that here within the Central Valley, with our 3 amazing CSUs as well as the other ones, we want to make sure that we're not underrepresented. We want to make sure that we have a voice at the table. As far as Vice President of External Affairs Elizabeth Rocha Zuniga has to say, she would like to see a chancellor who would have stronger efforts to include undocumented students, especially when it comes to civic engagement opportunities. Also a chancellor who would be willing to work with student organizations across the CSU, such as EOP and the California State Student Association, as well as keeping campuses in conversation that are crucial, especially when it comes to sustainability, as well as some more support from seeing that to make sure that the chancellor's income as well as president fees aren't increased prior to student fees increasing as a result, and to make sure that students' voices are being heard. With that, they would also like to see that a chancellor who prioritizes the needs of every student, because the CSU should be adaptable for current and future students. With that in mind, we just hope that you guys keep in mind that the students are the ones that are in need of a good chancellor, that hopefully is somebody younger who's willing to adapt with the situations for longevity's sake as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, CSU Search Committee. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for listening to what we have to say. My name is Aaron Aragon. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs at California State University, Bakersfield, Associated Students Incorporated, and I'm also part of the California State Student Association. I'm also a proud product of the CSU as on my last 2 semesters of the MPA program at Cal State Bakersfield. I'm here today by fellow colleagues representing CSU and over 11,000 students from our campus. We want to see the next Chancellor to recognize the needs, the basic needs of students. Students shouldn't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, but unfortunately that's the case here. We should not be in a system where 41.6% of our students face food insecurity and where 10.9% of students experience homelessness. We need a Chancellor that will also fight for mental health and well-being. At CSUB, there's only 1 mental health counselor for every 2,300 students. As students, we shouldn't have to wait 2 to 4 weeks to meet with a counselor to talk about our problems. Our wait metric should not be in days or weeks, it should be in hours. These basic needs help us with student success and helps us achieve the goals we want to achieve as students. The next Chancellor shouldn't only focus on the academic needs of students, but what students need for academic success. I urge you all to look for a Chancellor who will lead the next generation of CSU students to reach their goals and one that can advocate for student needs. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm losing my voice, so if I sound a little funky, that's why. My name is Emily Rivas. I am the current college senator for the College of Social Sciences here at Fresno State. I am also the only graduate representation on the ASI board. My comment is concerning GI 2025. What my master's is going to be in is in history, and GI 2025, the way that it is structured, is set up to discourage or entice students to not take ethnic studies courses, things like history also, and political science. Those courses are things that make us functioning human beings, although they are not necessarily what students are going to major in or be experts in. It is important that they take them in order to be civically engaged and also civically knowledgeable. I also work at the Learning Center here at Fresno State. I am the only history and government tutor there simply because students don't usually take more courses than the survey courses that they're made to take. This GI 2025 bill encourages students to only take the bare minimum of the courses that they need to and then streamline into their major, which is great and all, but it also takes away from the form of storytelling, of the form of being civically knowledgeable and knowing how to be a functioning human being within our society. The CSU wants students to be successful, and with those classes, they are guaranteed more success than if they don't take them. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Divyang Mutavar. I am the Director of International Students Relations for CSUB ASI, and I'm also the Vice President for International Students Organization at our campus. Today, I'm going to be representing the 30,000 or more students, international students across all 23 CSU campuses. I have noticed a lack of support for the international students across the CSU system. At CSU Bakersfield itself, we only have 2 people handling everything for international students, and I believe our voices aren't heard. I would like to have our next Chancellor be our voice, someone who can advocate for the international students and help us represent ourselves to our fullest extent. Thank you.
I know you.
Hello again. So yeah, my name is Omar Hernandez, student body president here at Fresno State. The first thing I would like to say is, as I mentioned earlier, 80% of our students do stay within our valley, and as mentioned by Dr. Holyoke earlier in his remarks, that we're turning away thousands of students every year. And so, you know, as this happens, you know, our school is doing really great. However, as a region, we're not doing the best. We need to make sure that we need to help these students that are struggling. A lot of the students struggling are first-generation students. They're students of low income and students of marginalized communities. So I think it's really important that the Chancellor understands things like this, that we need more funds to ensure that these students can get a proper education and so that they could be functioning members of society. Now, along with this said, I do take off that hat and, you know, also come as a student of agricultural background. My name is Omar Hernandez. I'm a 4th year out of the Jordan College of Agriculture, Science, and Technology, studying animal science. I think it's really important, especially for this region, that the new chancellor understands what happens in the San Joaquin Valley, because it's very important to not only our region, but our state and our country, right? California does have, I believe, the 5th largest economy as a state, and a lot of it has to do with the agriculture we produce. Fresno County happens to be the #1 county in California, and as a county, we actually produce a higher variety than entire other states do. So it's really important that people are cognizant of what happens here in the valley. I know because we got some beautiful rain today, you guys can walk out when you guys leave today and you'll see the beautiful mountains. I know some of you guys also went to the Gibson Farm Market, where it's a market where our student work, everything that comes out of our student hard work within agriculture, anything from nuts to ice cream to meat products, anything that happens and anything you will see in that market is touched by our students. But our laboratories aren't as touched as much as the other conventional laboratories, like the biology ones, the chemistry ones, right? Those are also our laboratories, so that is our method of learning our hands-on experience. I understand that there's not a whole lot of programs like ours within the CSU system, but because of the state we're in and the area we're in, it's really important that we have a chancellor that understands the importance of agriculture and what it means to us as a system, but it also means for our economy, right? So especially in this area, again, 80% of our students come back. A lot of those work in agriculture. So it's really important that the chancellor understands that what we do here, it's our livelihood and it's a way of life. So it's really important that they understand that there's something other than what meets the eye, right? So I would encourage for the chancellor to come down at some point and actually take a tour of our farm and speak to students and understand what it means to us, because as a student it gets a lot more scary as time goes, because it seems like the industry is getting very difficult to work in one. So it would be great for our students to understand that that's a strong industry and that they will have work to follow in the future. So thank you guys. I don't have class right now, but I do have a presentation later, so I'm gonna get going too. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley Shalekta. I'm representing CSUB's Lobby Corps team as well as a student. I'm a product of a Taft Community College as well as CSUB. I'm currently getting my master's in public administration. I am also the graduate student leader for our Multicultural Alliance and Gender Equity Center, as well as our brand new Dreamers Resource Center. I just wanted to take a moment of your time to talk about diversity amongst our students. I think that it's very important to find a chancellor who can relate to the diversity of all of our campuses, and like someone said, the populations are different. Students of color are represented over 60% of all of our CSUs. So when you search for the next chancellor, you must emphasize the importance of diversity, including not only race, but ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, language, culture, religion, mental and physical ability, class, and immigration status. There's a lack of resources for each of these categories in terms of staff, allies, and resource centers. I feel that the next chancellor should represent all students, not just the larger populations, because social justice is for all, not some. We need to choose a chancellor who is dedicated to expanding the inclusivity for all students that have been undermined in the past. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Search Committee, and thank you for being here to hear the voice of the students of the CSU system. My name is Krishan Malhotra. I'm from Stanislaus State. I'm part of the Legislative Affairs team. I would like to see the figure of the chancellor more known to the students, so students know who he is or who she is, what they do, their background, and just make it more of a figure that students can relate to and see. The students would also like to see someone who is open-minded to the challenges faced by students today. Things like food insecurity, as my peers have said, homelessness, high tuition costs, and diversity, which greatly affects our mental and physical health while we're students throughout the CSU system. Finally, this system needs a chancellor who leads with a student-first mentality, recognizing the potential of the students in the system and fostering us with the tools and resources that we need to be successful and productive members of society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ignacio Castillo. Thank you for having us today. It's a pleasure to be here. I currently go to CSUB, but I'm also a lobby course representative where I represent 11,600 students at CSUB. And I'm here to talk to you about the chancellor and how we need someone who is able to hear the voices of undocumented immigrants in the CSU system. someone who is able to help the thousands of dreamers that attend our 23 universities. At CSUB, we recently opened a Dreamers Resource Center where we help students with legal services. These students need a helping hand. They shouldn't be worrying about their legal status. They should be worrying about their education and their success at any CSU campus. We need a chancellor who is willing to expand this kind of resource towards all campuses and someone who's willing to fight for the voices of these people, someone who is able to hear and understand their voices. These students shouldn't be left alone in the fight for their legal status, and we need to let them know that home is here. We need someone who is able to uplift and bring up their voices together, and I hope the next chancellor recognizes that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is, sorry.
No,
Right here?
there you go.
Okay, hi, my name is Jada. I'm part of the Legislative Affairs team at Stanislaus State University. I went around campus asking students what they wanted to see in a new chancellor, and a lot of them actually didn't know that we had a chancellor, and I actually didn't know. I'm a third-year student. So with that being said, we would like to have a chancellor that is actually involved with the students. We want a face to the name. We want somebody who we know is going to represent us as students. People also mentioned having a chancellor with an open mind who has experience and background with students who deal with different ethnic backgrounds, such as race, sexuality, etc. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane Blair, and I'm a faculty member in the Department of Communication, and I am also the chapter president of the California Faculty Association here at Fresno State and a statewide officer. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the students who made the trip up and down the 99 from Stanislaus and Bakersfield to be here. That's awesome. And a lot of what I'm going to say, I think, echoes what you're hearing from our students in terms of what we need in a new chancellor. I've taught here at Fresno State for almost 20 years. That's hard to believe. But I have built my career here at Fresno State. And in that time frame, I have seen many an administrator come and go, 2 chancellors now. And with the change in that kind of leadership, there's always a sense of uncertainty, but also possibility and opportunity for the prospect of new leadership and a new vision. The role of the CSU chancellor is a powerful and influential position, and I know you all know that. Whoever is selected is someone who must be committed to public higher education and all that that entails. They must be someone who knows and understands the students that we serve. They must be someone who respects a unionized workplace. And they must be someone who is committed to academic justice. I just want to speak briefly to each of these areas. First, we need a chancellor who is going to work tirelessly to secure state funding for our university system. I know you've heard this from others. The chancellor should be leading the charge for adequate funding for the CSU. I honestly do not understand the reluctance on the part of the current chancellor and our board of trustees to actually advocate for what we need to serve our students here in the CSU. The CSU budget requests have been too conservative, way too conservative. They consistently undercut our students, our faculty, and our academic mission and the services that our students need to succeed. As one of my colleagues has frequently stated, as the CSU has gotten darker, the funding has gotten lighter. We are increasingly serving a diverse student body here. We're fulfilling our mission, and the legislators need to constantly be educated as to the importance of the CSU in the economy of the state and in the future citizens of this state. And so again, we need, as President Castro is always telling us here at Fresno State, we need to be bold. We need a new chancellor who's also going to be bold. We also need a chancellor who knows our students. someone who recognizes that here at Fresno State and across the CSU, the majority of our students are students of color. They are also first-generation students. These students often face significant challenges to achieving their academic dreams. Many of them are working full-time, they're supporting families. Too many of our students are facing food insecurity and even homelessness while pursuing their degrees. We need a chancellor who's not going to shame our students for choosing their own pace and taking non-traditional paths to graduation. We need a chancellor who will protect students' access to vital services like mental health counselors on our campuses, and also the rights of undocumented immigrant students and their families. We also need a chancellor who recognizes the central role of faculty in serving our students. We need a chancellor dedicated to ensuring that we have a diverse faculty who are adequately supported with equitable salaries, job security, a humane work-life balance, academic freedom, and a workplace free from harassment and discrimination. We need a chancellor who knows how to work with a unionized workplace, who values collective organizing and bargaining, and who recognizes the contributions of all of our employees who serve the CSU system. It actually troubles me greatly that in the putting together of this search, no specific consideration was given to including representatives from any of our joint labor councils throughout the CSU. So for all of these reasons stated above, I believe the faculty, the students, and the staff of the CSU deserve an open search process and a meaningful participation, opportunities to participate. As you've already heard today, this is primetime class time. So a lot of our students, a lot of our faculty aren't here because they are doing their job. And I think that we need continuous opportunity to provide feedback, to participate in this process, to ensure that as many voices as possible are included in the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Search Committee. My name is Carlos Martinez, and I'm a member of the ASI Legislative Affairs team in Stanislaus State. What me and my peers want to see in a chancellor is someone who understands the importance of student services, such as providing services for undocumented immigrants, mental health, and housing and financial aid services as well. There's been severe mental health issues all across all the CSUs, where we have seen the number of students coming in each year is growing while the number of counselors is staying the same. Many of the students that I know that go to school, that live in housing, they are facing mental health issues, and they know how long the wait times are. Not only that, but also food insecurity is also very important. We have a food pantry on campus, but it is incredibly small. We need to, in all CSUs, see the importance of these services and continue to provide, and that's what I want to see in a future chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dua Lor. I am a graduate student here at the Student Affair and College Counseling program here. I want to thank the search committee for selecting Fresno State as one of their search committee here to address my concern. Today I'll be speaking on behalf of myself and my colleague Jake. But before I start, I want to provide a few background. Fresno State is both a HSI and a PZ serving institution. Because I am a Hmong American student, I'm going to unapologetically advocating for Hmong students, knowing that we make up the third largest population here on campus, yet we are the lowest graduation rate at 3% at a 4-year. Overall is 15% here, and then at a 40% at a 6-year graduation rate, overall is 57%. Yes, 40% sounds very promising, but yet we're the lowest graduation rate of student of minority here. President Castro and his team, his leadership team, is aware, and he's a great man, and they are aware of this issue, and they are very supportive, yet his hands are tied with limitation due to the CSU system itself. So I'm asking that the new chancellor can be someone who is willing to put Hmong students onto their agenda, so that way we can close this equity gap, whether it's here at Fresno State or any of the 23 CSU campuses. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gloria Valen. I'm the Director for Diversity for ASI at CSU Stanislaus. I'm here to echo what all my peers have been saying. Specifically, we need more resources for our food insecurity for our students, more so to our homeless students that have nowhere to go, they're living in their cars, have a safe space somewhere around the campus or within the parking lots for our folks. Going back to our first generation students, high population of our students come through. Our first gen don't have that many resources of where to go and to continue their education. Myself, I am a first generation. When I went to Stanislaus, I had no idea where the resources were coming from, and we need to expand that so that they can continue to thrive and get a higher education, not just at Stanislaus, but throughout the 23 CSU schools. I also want to emphasize resources for our undocu and our Dreamer students on, not just again, on Stanislaus campus, but throughout the 23 CSUs. I've actually had the privilege to speak to students that out of 22 out of 23 schools. And they would love to see more resources, especially for undocu, and then especially DACA right now was in limbo. More resources where they can go and to, once again, continue to thrive to gain that higher education. So thank you for your time, and just to remind you all, we're here to stay and home is here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to the panel members as well for being here at Fresno State. My name is Wanola Alagunju. I am the Vice President of University Affairs for the California Student Association, and I'm also a student at Stanislaus State. I would like to speak for both perspectives, one for CSSA and then also one for myself. Personally, on the side of CSSA, I think what a lot of students would like to see, as mentioned by my peers here, is more help for undocu students, but help for basic needs, mental health, also focusing on closing those equity gaps that we have seen. As we know, GI 2025 has progressed and there has been approval rates in graduation. However, the equity gaps have still not made any movement so far. And that is very disencouraging to many students and how they will choose to progress throughout their years in college and making sure that they graduate on time, and we have those resources for them to graduate for that. So, and my perspective as a student who's lived in Fresno for the past 10 years, and I chose to attend Stanislaus State solely based on the need of financial needs. My family is the first generation. I was the first to be born and raised here in my family. I was the first to also attend a 4-year right out of high school in my family. Knowing these things, I can say that the Central Valley is not something that I feel like is on the radar for a lot of people, especially when it comes to funding for Central Valley schools such as Fresno, Stanislaus, Bakersfield, etc. I want to see more participation or more involvement from the Central Valley, from the Chancellor's office to the Central Valley. I feel like we are very key and already in California as being the breadbasket of the world, and now we want to make sure that the students that attend and go to schools in the Central Valley will have those resources as well. The San Joaquin Valley has very low graduation rates already coming from high school, and colleges know better. We just want to see that improvement here, and I think that is something that we would all like to look forward to seeing in the new chancellor as one of his maybe initiatives, or his or her initiatives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Search Committee. My name is Diana Avalos, and I am the ASI Governmental Relations Coordinator at Stanislaus State. When it comes to choosing the next leader of the CSU system, I was told by a great leader that it's best to speak from the heart. And I ask you, as you begin your search for the next chancellor, that you seek someone that understands the holistic experience of each student. And what I mean by that is a chancellor who understands the experience of graduate students, students and student government, athletics, and most importantly, the silent student that has no idea that this is even happening right now at this time. I ask that you seek a chancellor who understands that holistic journey of each individual student, and then in turn that they use that holistic experience or understand that journey to govern the CSU system, that they use that as a platform. Thank you for listening.
Hi, members of the selection committee here. My name is Keith Woodcock. I received my master's degree in city and regional planning here from Fresno State when I had a program. And I'm very proud to be a Fresno State alumni. I serve as a part-time lecturer here at Fresno State in city and regional planning, and I'm also a part-time lecturer at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in city and regional planning. So I know the Valley quite well, having been a city and regional planner for 30 years here in the Valley. What I'd like to share with you in taking a look at taking this step of looking for a new chancellor are several items. That the world is completely different from when I got my education here. And that these are brand new, bold challenges that need to be met. And the chancellor needs to step up and understand these challenges. In part, again, going back to me, I'm working on my doctorate degree in public administration. But when I was searching for a CSU campus that offers a DPA program, there are none. While there are doctors of education, and those are all, et cetera, that I think that as the university system is looking towards the future, investing in programs that will build leadership for the western portion of the United States, particularly California, and taking a look at yes, there are risks there. One of the artificial risks is that how many students do you have in order for a class to carry? And I know that's a budgetary concern, but it also limits the investment that you can do in innovative programs on that. So related to that is diversity. We've heard many speakers here talk about diversity. Some campuses are doing a great job. President Castro here at Fresno State is doing a great job. I know that President Armstrong is doing his best at addressing issues at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. But just taking a look at the overall system, I think that the new chancellor has to take a look at, as we've heard about the dreamers, et cetera, how do we address their needs in building the leadership for California, for California's future. And then lastly, related to budget, is budget transparency. That there's, in faculty meetings that I've been in, that there's a sort of a confusion as to how the budget is put together. It's often been described as Byzantine and very confusing. So it makes these hard choices about how do we invest in future programs to build the leaders very, very difficult on that. So I hope the chancellor addresses budget transparency and is a strong advocate before the state legislature in advocating for the system. Thank you.
My name is William Hardaway. I'm a student services professional in student affairs, and I coordinate tutoring in the Learning Center. I would like to hear from each of the candidates how they plan to provide a space or some mechanism for marginalized groups to talk about their lived experiences on campuses in a way that they feel safe to move beyond diversity and talk about lived experiences of racism, sexism, adultism, and all of those things. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gia Zhang. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old as a refugee with no education at all. Same thing with my parents. And then I came to Fresno State, got my undergrad and graduate here, and eventually went on to get my doctorate degree. So the CSU system has been a very integral, important part of my life. Today I'm here as a community person talking, and what I would hope with the next chancellor is that he's not only going to be, or she's not only going to be bold, but also to be thinking outside of the box in terms of working with partnership with community organizations and leaders. And I know that prioritizing student success and excellence in faculty is important, but what I have seen to be able to be bold and thinking outside of the box, which we have demonstrated here in Fresno with Dr. Castro, when he first came in as a president to work with the community and community leader, he was not afraid to even come out to the community and, in a way, visit some of the temples and have history and blessing time to him and the First Lady. And this is very important because students only come from these kind of community, and it's important that the chancellor understands the communities where their students are coming from. So this is a very important, bold, and outside-the-box thinking. And further than that, for Dr. Castro to really to say, you know what, I'll listen to you, to work with the community, all the community organizations, and he was able to help us to bring together all of the superintendents here in the county, 4 districts together to support an academic decathlon that prepares students in high school way much earlier before they come to the college. So that's what I mean by having a leader who is bold and thinking outside of the box, is to just work, not only work with students and faculties, but beyond that, with communities and community leaders from different aspects. Thank you.
Good afternoon to members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Search Committee. Also, a special thank you to all of the students. Again, I know this was already said, but it's a crazy busy final season, so for you all to take time away from your studies to be here, I think speaks volumes. So thank you for making the time to do that. My name is Josh Hagan, and I am with the Campaign for College Opportunity, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that is committed to ensuring that all Californians have an equal opportunity to attend and succeed in college. It is imperative that the next CSU chancellor is a transformational leader who will not shy away from leading institutional change to address the serious capacity constraints and persistent racial equity gaps in access and graduation rates. The Search Committee and Board of Trustees have an opportunity to name a chancellor that reflects the incredible diversity of the students that they would be serving and is committed to expanding representation in hiring for faculty. Out of the 7 chancellors that have led the CSU, only 1 has been a female, and there has been no racial diversity among them. Racial equity gaps persist in faculty and academic leadership. Across the CSU system, 63% of full-time faculty, 70% of non-tenured faculty, and 73% of academic senators on campus are white. That does not represent the diversity of our state, nor the diversity of students that the CSU is meant to serve. Our next chancellor must prioritize racially equitable representation in their hiring and decision-making. The next chancellor of the CSU must be an experienced collaborative leader committed to working with K-12 education partners and systems, California's community colleges, public and independent universities, as well as civil rights and business partners. Transparency and collaboration will be critical for the next chancellor to advocate for state investment to address these serious capacity constraints. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming to visit Fresno. I'm representing Mini Hat today. My name is Zong Mua, and as a practitioner, I'm a school social worker, so I practice in the community. I am a community advocate in our Southeast Asian community here in Fresno. I've been here for 20 plus years. I am very knowledgeable about our student population in the community K-12, as well as Fresno State here, because I also teach here part-time as a lecturer. So I want to make sure that our new counselor really value diversity, embrace research as well as practice, and then student support services, very key. Being very open-minded and being willing to create things outside the box is very important. One of our peers talked about President Castro here and willing to step out of his comfort zone, meet with our Southeast Asian task force here, getting to know us and hear what we need in our community. Fresno State, that's our biggest Asian population here, is our Hmong Southeast Asian community. So across the board, all the 21 campuses, 23, we have Asian. However, we are very diverse. Our Southeast Asian community are the lowest in graduation rate, in getting into college, all of the above. Poverty as well, the lowest and everything. So when you guys are really looking for that new person, they have to really embrace diversity within diversity as well, making sure that we differentiate the differences and are really knowledgeable in that diversity. We are really grateful that we have a great president here with Castro willing to work with us with Southeast Asian Task Force to do academic program, push to bring back the Hmong language programs in our school. I heard, hopefully, you guys are also willing to hire people who can teach the language, because we are really pushing, our community are really needing those language. Hopefully, we can make that 2030 goal of making sure diverse language in California and the nation. So those are going to be very important. The Hmong people are not going anywhere in California. We're staying here. Our language is going to be needing there. As a practitioner, I'm so tired of being the bilingual person only. So our kids are, not speaking Hmong anymore, and we need to make sure that they understand the literacy of it, but also the formal language of it, as well as that don't use street language, because it's very important. Because a lot of time, you guys know that we are at CSU, we are a practitioner university. We teach people how to go practice in the community, but do we really teach them? I don't know. Because obviously, if we are not having people in and out to also practice and really making sure that we are connecting research to practice, theories to practice, then that's going to be a loss. I'm an alumni also of Fresno State Products here in the Master in Social Work. And then I'm also a UC Santa Barbara graduate too, alumni, double major in Asian American Study as well as sociology. And so my biggest push is that we gotta be partner here. Another colleague talked about no PhD program nearby our valley. So even some of the best people who might want to get a higher ed doctorate degree, there's no program. How do we connect to our community so that we can have those money and grant to support practices with our research here a little bit more, and people who's willing to understand California, but not only California, Fresno here, and stay here. We love Fresno, those of us who's been here, but those who are new, don't know, and might be afraid of our diversity here. We are very diverse here in Fresno. And our diversity is a little different in all aspects, all right? The other piece is student service. We are so first-generation students still. With me working in the K-12, trying to get them finishing high school is huge. Just pushing them to move over to go and get the higher ed so that they can have a working salary, so we can improve our economy is huge. So our student service really, really needs support. When I went to UC Santa Barbara, it's as white as you can be. I couldn't even find Asian food, okay? So it's really hard, but at the same time, that student service is really needed. Having more counselor, academic counselor, social emotional support counselor is needed. Having people do things differently than student got to go to the office to get services. Because if you're a first generation, you don't even know what office is what office. And so that's really important, because I was a self-starter. When I don't know, I'm not ashamed, I'm not embarrassed to say, I don't know. I go for services, I go look for service. Chancellor need to understand that student service support is huge in this valley here, in pockets of our CSU, but here we are still really, really in need of that student support services, especially social emotional. My other hat as a practitioner in the community, I do work with my homeless community here in Fresno and foster youth, and they also need that education. They have the lowest number in graduation in college, and so any kind of supplemental support of money to support that population, targeted population, I'm going to encourage that new chancellor to be open, think outside of the box, because we really need those support. All right, thank you.
you.
Hi, my name is Demi Wack, and I'm a student at Fresno State. I'll be graduating with my psychology degree at the end of this year. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you to all the students that are here, and give a special thanks to Juan for being our student trustee. I know that this probably takes up a lot of your time. I don't know how you're doing school with this on top of it, so thank you. I just want to start with just kind of like a broad overview of exactly what I would like to see in the next chancellor. And realistically, what I would like to see is someone who is an advocate for students, who understands our students, and who's innovative in that process and very, very intentional. With that said, we need someone who's going to be able to talk to our state and make them understand how important their investment is to students, and not just into all education, and to Fresno State, and to all the CSUs specifically. We have an amazing group of students that often gets talked about as if we're a deficit. Oh, we graduated from a CSU, we didn't graduate from a UC. We need a chancellor who's willing to understand that this isn't a deficit, we have a different education. We have students who are so resilient and understand other perspectives so well, and are really encompassed in that diversity, that we should be employable by anyone in California, let alone the US, let alone the world. So that's the first thing, is just someone who's able to communicate that to the state in order to get that money, and also to really believe it and understand that within themselves. The second thing is, with the money that we do have, I want someone to take a hard look at where that money is going and be extremely intentional in how that's being funded to be put towards the right services. Not to say that, great things are happening, but like to go through and really, really be intentional with where that money is going. And that intentionality should be based around the fact that we have a huge amount of underrepresented students, including Hmong students, including migrant students. You could go on, and just really understand that and create spaces where they can better understand that. So they don't just come in with an initial understanding, but they're willing to facilitate that and continue that progress, because we're constantly changing as a CSU system and as a university. Different students come in every single year, and each new student deserves to be heard. Lastly, I would just like to say that I guess that's it, actually. Never mind. I think I'm done. But anyways, thank you so much for your work. Thank you, Juan. And yeah, please do a good job.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Belinda Munoz, and I wear 2 hats on campus. I am the Administrative Support Coordinator in Kinesiology, but I'm also the chair of the Staff Assembly here on campus. And I agree with a lot of the things that were said today from our students and from faculty and other staff members. I specifically agree with Tom, who I work very close with, who is the academic chair, when he said that the faculty and students are the heart on campus, because that is true. But I think what sometimes gets overlooked is that it's the staff on campus that keeps that heart pumping. And I need a chancellor who's going to recognize that, and recognize the hard work of staff on campus that works just as hard to keep those seats filled and to keep those faculty getting paid, and keep everything, the lights on, the campus clean. There's so many different parts of campus that staff is part of, and so I need a chancellor who's going to recognize that and appreciate that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here today. My name is Kampa Tepavong, and currently I am the medical director of the student services. So I'm a medical doctor. I just wanted to say that it's so important for us to find a chancellor who's not only could understand diversity, but who is comfortable in talking, meeting with people who are different, the vulnerables, people who are marginalized, et cetera. And I will definitely have to echo with many of our colleagues who have shared that Dr. Castro is definitely that person. He is always listening. Not only does he listen, but he also takes into account action plans, and you actually see it in play. I was actually invited as that one gentleman, Dr. Zhang, for the Southeast Asian Task Force. I mean, the Southeast Asian includes Lao American, Hmong, also Cambodian and Vietnamese. We are kind of lowest performers. And being in the Central Valley for over 30-some years, this has never happened until Dr. Castro came about. So I'm just really appreciative that we definitely need people like that who's willing to listen to people who are voiceless, vulnerable, who also have the passion and compassion. In addition, I would like to have a chancellor who's will make trips around different campuses, not only to talk to your top folks, such as your vice presidents and your cabinets, but also people like your staff. I mean, myself, I'm a mid-level director. I work with, clients on a daily basis. I work with my group. So I know what needs to be fine-tuned to make the system work better. Right now, we have 23 campuses, but from talking to different people, we don't really follow similar or same standards. I think as a system to be efficient, the minimum has to be similar, right? For example, jobs. If you're a director of this position or if you're a counselor, the standardization has to be there, but of course we put into place room for you to kind of fine-tune to go with your campus. So today I'm proud to say that I work for Fresno State. We have a great leader, and without Dr. Castro, I don't believe that this campus would be as great as it is today. It's very open, it's respectful, and it's very inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Ross. I'm a faculty member in biology here at Fresno State. And first, I'd like to start by thanking every leader, because they take on big tasks and they have to make tough decisions with limited resources. And to that end, one thing that I think you might consider when you're looking at potential candidates is, well, first they're going to have to take on the juggernaut of GI 2025, which is already rolling, and so it may just be coasting until 2025 once the new chancellor is found. But when GI 2025 rolled around, a lot of us that are faculty and also lecturers and other teachers started wondering, does this mean we're going to reduce the quality of education to push students through the system? What was the point of 2025? And I'd just like to make one observation that if we don't get more funding for more faculty to help educate the increasing number of students that we are turning away from campuses, maybe we should consider making more efficient, quality education than asking for more faculty. So in the absence of great sums of money for getting more tenure-track faculty, lecturers, and non-tenure-track faculty, what can we do to make our student-faculty relationships more efficient? I'd love it if you would look for a chancellor who has either expressed interest or particularly experience as a teacher, and somebody who has particularly experience with high-impact educational practices and at least some interest or at least philosophy on matters like distance education, online education. Because those might be, although I'm not advocating for them necessarily, because there's a lot of faculty opinions one way or the other on online versus not, it's something that should be considered to help improve access to communities that may not be near university campuses. And that's just one thing in addition to consider that doesn't require more money. Just asking to find a chancellor who has that experience and can make that one other tough decision, how to allocate the existing money to perhaps also better support faculty to learn how to be better faculty members or be better instructors. I'm a biologist, I'm in STEM, which means I got my PhD doing research. I did not teach before I got my PhD. I started teaching when I was hired here in 2012. And we'd love to have more resources, not new resources, resources allocated towards faculty professional development, because that will help improve the efficiency and perhaps quality of the classes that we're teaching. So if a chancellor can consider, and they have shown in their past that they are willing to move money around to help faculty as well, I think that would be a strength.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for coming, all of you. You know Fresno had to pay extra to have the nice mountains in the background with the snow and everything like that, give you and no fog, I hope, when you had to drive in. And I hope that this is your first time being in Fresno, that it won't be your last either, because I hope you'll be seeing some of the things that Fresno has to offer. And a lot of that goes down to the presence of Fresno State in this area. My name is Lisa Weston. I'm a faculty member in the Department of English, and I've been here for 30-some-odd years. So I'm older than dirt, older than some of the dirt around here anyway. I know what's buried under some of the dirt. But I'm here actually as you look for a new chancellor, which is a very, very important thing to be doing. We're going to need a good leader to take us into the future and not hold us where we are now and not try and take us back into some phantom past that never really existed anyway. I'd like to reiterate some of the points that Dr. Holyoke and some of my other colleagues have made about the importance of a chancellor who comes from and really understands academic affairs and what goes on a campus, understands the students, understands the faculty, understands what teachers do. It doesn't look on the classroom as some kind of magic box where you shove students in one end and out the other end they come out and they graduate on time. Hooray, hallelujah. But things go on in that box, and it's that old cartoon about, and a miracle happens here. Miracles do happen, but they happen because people are trained to make the miracles happen. And a chancellor who actually understands, who has experience as a teacher, and who can remember that experience, and who didn't get out of teaching because they didn't like it. Basically somebody who ideally had to be dragged kicking and screaming into administration rather than fled to it so they could get away from those pesky students. And also a chancellor who recognizes the other sorts of tasks, the other parts of the academic life, particularly the commitment that faculty here have to research and creative activities. And the importance of that at a CSU. That's often thought of as something that those elite R1 institutions do, and the CSU is spoken of as an economic engine, thrusting people out into the world, and that's all very well, but we're also a creative and research engine. We're a cultural engine. One of the reasons that I would hope that you come back to Fresno is to sample some of the things that go on. It's art hop here tonight, if you're around tonight. Go around our galleries, see how many of our galleries have artwork in them because the students from all sorts of backgrounds and first generation, working class students, people who didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be an artist, got infected by the art bug, and now they're out there. The range of music, the range of, particularly for Fresno State, we have a very proud tradition in the creative writing, particularly the poetry jobs. So somebody who recognizes that would be useful, or, basically why the world should be more like me.
Thank you.
As a 30-year professor, I love the CSU. I love the commitment to student success. I love that my faculty colleagues prioritize teaching. So it may sound a little odd, but I would like the next chancellor to raise the prominence of research in the CSU system. And I say that because we've learned that research promotes student success. Students involved in research do better. We know that. I also know that faculty that are given opportunities for research, we're able to attract the best and the brightest from throughout the country and throughout the world when given that opportunity. So I'd like to see a chancellor that recognizes that advocates for that could codify research as a component of faculty workload, maybe, well, we did almost $700 million of grant and contract activity last year at the CSU. $700 million, not an insignificant amount. Very few people talk about that. Maybe the next chancellor will have a GI 2030 goal of doubling that number. So Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I've been here at Fresno State for 14 years with the new student orientation program. My name is Chancellor, and I think one of the things I would like to see in our new chancellor is someone who has a strong working relationship with the California community college system and can strengthen that and maybe even make some sort of formal ties. Running the orientation program here and seeing the transfer students coming through. And now we are beginning the establishment of a transfer success center. It's one of the areas where I've seen a deficit for many, many years. Not just here, within, not just the CSU, but in higher education, there's this emphasis on freshmen and now sophomore success and whatever it might be. But it's really difficult when you see these transfer students come through, knowing that this is their destination and they have such hardships coming through. So I'd love to see a chancellor who has those relationships or has the ability, some type of, to maybe formalize part of that to really make that transition much more seamless for transfer students. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Beth Weinman. I'm a faculty here in the geology department. I'd like to recommend, I would love a chancellor who is able to kind of overcome siloization. And so one of the things that comes to mind when I'm hearing what everyone is saying is that I think that there are things that can work together, such as course redesign, so developing your faculty. At the same time, you can make course-based undergraduate research, so you can put research in the courses. You can also make courses that help facilities, the operational types of jobs that the campus, the system has to undergo. And also teach students at the same time. The CSU has a bunch of dashboards, and they're doing more and more data-driven decision-making. Bring that into the classroom as well with our students. So I don't see one thing necessarily being more important than the other. I would love a chancellor that would be able to kind of make all the parts of the system work together better.
Thank you.
Sorry, consequence of being tall. Hi, guys. So I'm a graduate student, and I have been working here at Fresno State for like a little less than 2 years, so 2 years next semester, I guess. But more importantly, I'm the financial secretary for UAW Local 4123. So I'm here on union purposes, but I'm also here as a grad student, and I want you guys to try to remember, dig back in your brains, dig in your memory, please, to remember the struggle of what it was like to be underemployed and going through grad school and needing money and having to like learn how to do these really important things with students and just the struggle, and to know that when we go into negotiations for people like me, people who are grad students, and then also like undergrads who are also working, that please don't clam up. Please don't like put down a wall between us and you. Like, we want what is best for our employees and who are also students who are in the struggle. Please remember this. I know that there is a huge gap between you guys and us. Like, we're barely getting up off the ground. We're barely poking our heads through the metaphorical soil, and you guys have been roosting up at the metaphorical canopy for a good long while. You know what that sun feels like, and we're over here trying to get a ray of it. So please keep us in mind that we here in labor like have a concern and we have an interest. So please keep us in mind, and please don't like clam up on us when we go into negotiation here pretty soon. Because we have some very vital things we want to ask of you guys, and like, we're all in this together, aren't we? Isn't that like part of what we do here? Is negotiation and camaraderie and like wanting to get the better good out of like everybody? So please keep that in mind. All right, and that's me.
Hi, my name is Ben Anderson. I'm a technician in the Earth Environmental Science Department, and I'm also a student. I'm a returning student and transfer from community college, so I'd kind of like to build on a couple of the things that were spoken about before me in the last few speakers, having to do with the importance of collaboration, really, just in general. Just a kind of a high-level, 30,000-foot level idea of collaboration that really crosses all boundaries. I might more specifically am talking about collaboration between community colleges, UCs, CSUs, and that kind of thing, but also more specifically in the STEM environment, and the idea that as we are moving forward, it appears to me, I'm fairly new in my position here, but I've been an advocate for students and working in the community college and the statewide student government level for very many years, and with the focus on STEM mostly. I'm also on the board of a local STEM children's interactive museum, so this is very important to me. But the more important piece of this is the idea of moving forward and the idea that the STEM field is kind of changing and becoming much more collaborative kind of on its own from the bottom up. And so what I'd like to see from a chancellor is that to hold on to that ideal and to help support it moving forward so that we get kind of a top-down and a bottom-up collaboration where we can move forward on that issue. That's basically it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Debbie A. Stone. I'm the Vice President for Administration and Chief Financial Officer, and thank you all for being here today and to listening and to our feedback. I am a proud product of the CSU, received both my bachelor's and master's degree here at Fresno State, and have had the opportunity to have my entire career here at Fresno State. And I just want to reiterate a number of points that were shared here today. But I also, again, want to say we are so fortunate to have the leadership that we have here with President Castro and my fellow cabinet colleagues, but all of our colleagues, our faculty, our staff, are so committed to serving our students and for making a difference for them and for the work that we're doing here in the Valley. And the engagement that our university has is just making such important differences. Doesn't mean that we don't have more work to do. But I think one of the important hallmarks is President Castro reminds us that we're doing the greater good for our students and for our university and for our community. And I would hope that our new chancellor would have a similar mindset, that we need to do what is best for all 23 campuses and for all of the students that we serve in the CSU. I do have some specific points, and having been in the CSU for a number of years, now under 4 chancellors, but I always say that I did start when I was 3. But I think it's important for the new chancellor to be accessible. That was shared here earlier today. I know Chancellor White did an amazing job when he first started and visited every campus. And I remember when he came for his first forum here, I know it meant a lot to our campus community that we had that access to him and that he truly listened to the needs of Fresno State. And I know he did that when he visited each campus, because each of our campuses are different. Although we're all part of one system, each campus does have some unique needs, and he really listened, and he really built a lot of bridges when he started, and we really need to ensure that someone will continue to have that spirit of collaboration and building bridges and really being accessible and being a good listener. We need someone who's truly going to understand the important mission of the CSU. That is truly important, and someone who lives and breathes it every day and is a servant leader in that work in serving the CSU. Someone who understands the challenges facing our students, and you heard that today, and again, just want to recognize all of our students who are here and who spoke today, even from our sister campuses, and their voice is so important, and that's why we do what we do every day, is to serve our students. We need someone who understands that campus needs vary in the system, and also someone who recognizes that the potential economic downturn is coming, and how are we as a system going to plan for that, and how do we get ahead of that? Having gone through a number of fiscal crises here within the CSU, there were some difficult decisions that had to be made, and it was tough times, and don't want to see that we go through that again, and how do we plan and be proactive and have a leader who is advocating so that we have a plan. Someone who obviously will advocate in Sacramento and have the important relationships with the governor and the lieutenant governor, someone who will have the relationships with the board of trustees. All of that work is so important to getting the work done of the CSU. Someone who understands the impact of the funding requirements to address, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up our backlog of deferred maintenance and all of our capital facility and renewal needs that we have. I know I share with my colleagues, especially just the condition of some of our instructional facilities. And in overseeing our facilities area, it's not that we don't want to make improvements, but obviously there's limited funding. I know it's gotten better, and thank you so much for your support, but there's a lot yet to do in all 23 campuses. Someone who also understands the need for alternative project delivery for our capital projects, and I know we're making some progress there, but someone who will continue to support that, and Chancellor White has been very supportive, and all of you have as well. But we need to keep that momentum going. We have to look at alternative ways of delivering our capital projects because we're just not going to be able to afford to keep doing business as usual. As far as leadership traits, someone who will build bridges, who is collaborative, genuine, humble, transparent, resilient, and grounded. Someone who knows where they come from and is passionate about the work that needs to be done in the CSU. Thank you again. We really appreciate your taking the time and being here in Fresno.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Hans van der Noorde. I'm a lecturer in physics. I'm a 21-year temporary employee of the university. Okay. I'm disturbed especially by the financial management of the university, and I think here in this university about 15 million or about 5% of the budget every year is diverted to athletics. And I see a lot of struggling students, and these students do not need to pay for this athletic program. And I looked up the governor's salary. The governor makes about $200,000 a year. And every administrator, every top administrator in the CSU makes more than twice what the governor makes. And I believe the salary of the administrator is actually too high. And what you end up getting are administrators that do not care enough about students. They care more about the money. If they care about the money, then they should go to Wall Street. And so I'm really concerned also that the search process is secret. Every position in the university, the search process is not secret, all the way up to the provost. But the search process for the president and for the chancellor is secret. And I don't think that you get the best search process that way. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I know you were going, oh, that's the last person, and then I walked up. I want to echo everyone's appreciation for you all being here today. I'm Francine Oputa, and I direct the Cross-Cultural and Gender Center here at Fresno State, and I also chair our President's Commission on Human Relations and Equity. I know you've heard over and over the importance of diversity and inclusion. I just want to add one little caveat to that. I would hope that our chancellor is a person that has done their own personal work around unconscious bias, implicit bias, and understanding their own personal identities, whatever those are. Because an individual can say, oh yes, I've done work around diversity, or I understand diversity, but if they haven't done their personal work, there's some blind spots there. And I know you've heard a lot of folks today acknowledge our president and our leaders here on our campus. We honestly are not getting paid to do that. But they are doing their personal work. I am personally have been honored to work with all of them on many, many workshops, seminars, as they do their personal work. That would be something that I think would be critical for the new chancellor, that they've done their personal work around these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was also supposed to say this. I am also a proud product of the CSU system, done undergraduate work at Long Beach State, Stanislaus State, did my master's here and my doctorate here. So I love the CSU system.
We knew that. This has been a fantastic session. I'm only sorry that we couldn't express our thanks to so many who spoke before they had to leave. And also to thank so many who came from other campuses in the Central Valley. That was fantastic. The CSU is a remarkable community of universities. But you have sent us off to the next component of our search in an incredibly strong way. The CSU family in the Central Valley is beautiful. And we're really grateful that you took the time, you thought about what you wanted us to hear, and you expressed it so passionately. I do want you to know that the trustees feel the same way about Joe Castro. That is no secret whatsoever. So thank you for your hospitality, thank you for your time, and we hope to do you proud.